Prime Minister Erna Solberg of Norway to the White House. Madam Prime Minister, it's been a pleasure to host you today. We had some very interesting discussions as we strengthen the wonderful friendship between our two countries. Norwegians and Americans have so much in common. We're nations made up of strong, pioneering, and adventurous people, to say the least. Over 1,000 years ago, daring voyagers of Norwegian descent, such as Eric the Red, braved treacherous seas in courageous missions of exploration. Centuries later, during the Second World War, brave Norwegians escaped occupied Norway to fight alongside of Americans and the Allies, including on the beaches of Normandy in 1944. Our friendship builds on this proud and noble history and is rooted in our commitment to confront the problems of today with that same confidence and that same determination, and I think it might even be greater determination. We've just concluded a series of discussions on how we can work together to promote a future of security and world prosperity, and also a great future for our respective countries working together. The Prime Minister and I are both committed to strengthening the NATO alliance. Norway has made contributions to the NATO-led mission in Afghanistan, where we are doing very well. It's been turned around, as well as to NATO and NATO's enhanced forward presence in Poland and the Baltic states. I want to thank the Prime Minister and the Norwegian people for their participation in these efforts. I encourage Norway to follow through on its commitment to meet the 2% of GDP defense spending obligation so that together we can confront the full range of threats facing our nations. And I believe Norway will get there quite soon. Norway is also a vital and valued member of the campaign to defeat ISIS. Because of us, ISIS has now lost almost 100% of the territory it previously held not so long ago in Iraq and in Syria. We're grateful for Norway's civilian assistance efforts and generous humanitarian aid to the region. They've been out there and really doing an incredible job. I'm also pleased to share that the economic ties between our two countries are robust and growing. The United States currently has a trade surplus, which is shocking. Do you believe I'm saying we have a surplus? There aren't too many. You're going to have to go back and check your people. But we're getting more and more surpluses all over the world, I will say that. I told that to the Prime Minister. But our two countries are robust and growing. The United States currently has a large contingent of products that we sell and back and forth with Norway. And one of the big products, of course, is our military equipment. I want to thank the people of Norway for their commitment to fair and reciprocal trade, a word that you're going to hear more and more coming from this administration, and it should have come from other administrations before me. Reciprocal trade, which benefits us all. Free nations are stronger when the trade is fair. And trade has not been overly fair with the United States, but we've had that great relationship with Norway. But remember the word reciprocal. In November, we started delivering the first F-52s and F-35 fighter jets. We have a total of 52, and they've delivered a number of them already, a little ahead of schedule. It's a $10 billion order. Norway also invests about 1/3 of its sovereign wealth fund in American businesses, supporting hundreds of thousands of American jobs. They're very big investors in our stock market, and therefore the Prime Minister thanked me very much, because their market is, you have done very well with your investments in the United States, right? Thank you. Norway's commitment to mutually beneficial commerce is a model for other nations, and it really is. It's an amazing country. I look forward to forging an even stronger economic relationship between the United States and Norway, growing this record of success with even more investment and more jobs and more job creation. We're also proud of our increasing cooperation on health, and health security, and also on biodefense, very important to both countries. I commend Prime Minister Solberg's efforts to promote vaccine development and disease prevention. Together we can save and improve many, many lives. We're working very hard and in some cases together on cures to many ailments. Prime Minister Solberg, I want to thank you again for joining us at the White House. For decades, Norwegians and Americans have stood side by side against common threats to our freedom, our security, and to our values. Together we have fought against fascism and communism and terrorism, and we face threats always together. We're partners. Our partnership has advanced peace, cooperation, and respect for human dignity all around the world. Today we remain united in our efforts to confront shared challenges, to seize new opportunities, and to build a bright and beautiful future for our countries, our people, our children. And I think we're doing very well working together, and we have a newfound friendship. So I want to thank you, and God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for your generous welcome. It's a great honor to be here at the White House. The relationship between our two countries is strong, and it has very deep roots. There are millions of US citizens who proudly call themselves Norwegian Americans. And our Norwegian Constitution, the second oldest in the world, that is still in force, was inspired by American ideals. And we have had a long and continuous history of serving shoulder to shoulder on battlefields around the world. The US remains our most important ally, a major trade partner, and a close friend. Today, we have discussed issues of importance for our relationship, how we can keep our countries and citizens safe, how we can grow our economies, how we can further the cooperation in areas of mutual interest. And I have assured President Trump that Norway remains an ally and a friend that you can count on in the future. We are already number 2 in NATO after the US in terms of defense spending per capita, and we are making significant investments to further strengthen our defense. And this includes, as the President said, some big buys from American industry. P-8 maritime patrol aircraft from Boeing, 52 F-35 combat aircraft from Lockheed Martin, our largest single public investment ever in Norway. But also we are buying new submarines and investments in intelligence capabilities and army assets, and which is important also for our job in the northern part. The American economy is doing well, and our economic relations are flourishing, and that's to the benefit of both countries. As we discussed in our meeting, for a small country like Norway, it's important for our ability to trade and to invest across border that we have fair trade and that we have multilateral trade systems also. And we think it's important for our future. Norwegian investments and Norwegian companies support close to 500,000 jobs in the United States. And through our government pension funds, substantial revenues from our oil sectors are being invested in US assets. The US has an impressive business community, and I have commended the leading role it is playing, also in the transformation to a green economy. For example, by the fact that one of the big areas we are now importing in Norway is electrical cars from Tesla. And Norway is combating climate change. It's an important issue for us. And we are committed to the Paris Agreement. But it leads to businesses, and it leads to American businesses also selling cars in Norway. At the same time, the green economy is an area where we see tremendous economic and business opportunities in the future. And finally, I think it's important to say that we also are discussing some of the big, difficult issues, for example, the development in Afghanistan, where I think and hope that we can find a new future. It's important that we are all working together to find solutions both in North Korea, Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq. And since September 11, 2001, Norway has contributed to a range of missions and operations, including the fight against ISIS. And I have assured the President that we remain unwavering in our commitment to the fight against terrorism all over the world. So, Mr. President, I am looking forward to future cooperation, and thank you for a very fruitful meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, some questions. How about Sarah Westwood? Where is Sarah? Sarah, thank you. Washington Examiner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, in a meeting with lawmakers, you said that you would be open to signing just about any immigration deal that bipartisan group of lawmakers sent to you.
That's right.
Would you be willing to sign an immigration deal that ultimately does not include funding for the border wall, or would that be a red line for you?
No.
No?
It's got to include the wall. We need the wall for security. We need the wall for safety. We need the wall for stopping the drugs from pouring in. I would imagine that the people in the room, both Democrat and Republican, I really believe they're going to come up with a solution to the DACA problem, which has been going on for a long time, and maybe beyond that, immigration as a whole. But any solution has to include the wall, because without the wall, it all doesn't work. You can look at other instances. Look at what happened in Israel. They put up the wall. They solved a very major problem. We need the wall. We have to have the wall for security purposes. Security is number one. And so the answer is have to have the wall. Thank you. And please.
Yes.
Can I call on Anders Magnus from the Norwegian Broadcasting?
Mr. President, Prime Minister, recently an American General, Robert Neller, told his Marines based in Norway, there's a war coming, a big-ass fight. Mr. President, how imminent is that big war, and where will it take place?
When you say the big war, you're saying what? Say it.
It was an American general, Robert Neller. He visited the Norwegian, the American Marines based in Norway, and he said there's a war coming, a big-ass fight. When will that war come?
Well, maybe he knows something that I don't know. Okay. I would say this. I would say this. We have a very, very powerful military. We're getting more powerful by the month, by the day. We're ordering a lot of the equipment that you're ordering. We're ordering it, but in larger amounts, to put it mildly. We are building up our military to a point that we've never been before. We're also, we were very much weakened over the last long period of time, but not with me. No, I don't expect that. I think we're going to have, because of strength, peace through strength. I think we're going to have a long period of peace. I hope we do. We have certainly problems with North Korea, but a lot of good talks are going on right now, a lot of good energy. I see a lot of good energy. I like it very much, what I'm seeing. I just spoke this morning with as you know, with the President Moon of South Korea. He had some really great meetings. His representatives had a great, great meeting. And I had some very good feedback from that. So hopefully a lot of good things are going to work out. No, I think that we will have peace through strength. Our military will be stronger than it ever was in a very short period of time. And that's my opinion. That's not the general's opinion, but I think my opinion counts more right now. Thank you.
Maybe I can just add that the reason why we are so happy that we have U.S. Marines training in Norway is that that's part of the deterrence strategy that makes sure that we don't have a war in the future.
Yes. And Sarah, did you have a question? You were supposed to ask a question. Did you have a question for the Prime Minister?
I did, yes, thank you. Madam Prime Minister, President Trump has said that the investigation into Russian collusion makes our country, quote, look very bad. And he said this morning that, quote, the world is laughing at our stupidity. So my question to you is, are you laughing at the Russian investigation?
I think that it's up to every political system in countries to scrutinize and discuss their own political agenda in their countries. And I respect that very much, and that this is an issue for American politics. I'd just like to say that it has impacted also in Europe. I think all European countries who have had elections this year has been looking into, will there be any type of tampering or others? We concluded after our election that we could not find any proof of any try to put any emphasis on that from countries outside Norway. I think it was a very Norwegian election with Norwegian participants.
Well, I will say this, there is collusion, but it's really with the Democrats and the Russians, far more than it is with the Republicans and the Russians. So the witch hunt continues. John, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also have a question for the Prime Minister, but if I could address the President first. Sarah brought up the Russia investigation. Your legal team, sources have told us, believes that in the next few weeks, the Special Counsel Robert Mueller will ask for some sort of an interview with you, your legal team believes, as part of wrapping up his investigation. Are you open to meeting with him? Would you be willing to meet with him without condition, or would you demand that a strict set of parameters be placed around any encounter between you and the Special Counsel?
Well, again, John, there has been no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russians, or Trump and Russians, no collusion. When I watch you interviewing all the people leaving their committees, I mean, the Democrats are all running for office and they're trying to say this, that, but bottom line, they all say there's no collusion. And there is no collusion. And when you talk about interviews, Hillary Clinton had an interview where she wasn't sworn in, she wasn't given the oath, they didn't take notes, they didn't record, and it was done on the 4th of July weekend. That's perhaps ridiculous, and a lot of people looked upon that as being a very serious breach, and it really was. But again, I'll speak to attorneys. I can only say this: there was absolutely no collusion. Everybody knows it. Every committee. I've been in office now for 11 months. For 11 months, they've had this phony cloud over this administration, over our government, and it has hurt our government. It does hurt our government. It's a Democrat hoax that was brought up as an excuse for losing an election that, frankly, the Democrats should have won because they have such a tremendous advantage in the Electoral College. So it was brought up for that reason. But it has been determined that there is no collusion, and by virtually everybody. So we'll see what happens.
But again, would you be open to?
We'll see what happens. I mean, certainly I'll see what happens. But when they have no collusion and nobody's found any collusion at any level, it seems unlikely that you'd even have an interview.
And Madam Prime Minister, Norway shares a small but strategic border with Russia. President Trump's position has been it's better to try to work with Vladimir Putin, if possible, than to work against him. Mm-hmm. Where do you come down on that idea of better to work with Putin than to not work with him?
Well, I think Russia is an important player in the international world, and I don't think you can not work with and talk to. But on the other hand, it's important to say that we have aligned with all the sanctions, as the European Union has done, and as a member connected both in NATO and interconnected to that. And we have also suffered some economic difficulties in some areas in Norway based on those sanctions. But on the other hand, we have a very good relationship with Russia over that border area, where we do have very much free movement of people, special zone of people moving to and fro. We have very large cooperation on sustainable fisheries in this area. It's the biggest cod area in the world with a sustainable resource, and we do patrol it, we do work together. So we think it's important to do two things at the same time. Yes, the international law is firm and clear. There was a break of that through the annexation of Crimea and the situation in Ukraine, and we do stand by all of our allies with that. But at the same time, as a neighboring country, we do day-to-day work on things that we have to solve for the people and the economic activity that is in that area, and which is a fragile area for the whole world.
Just to add to the answer, I think it is much better to work with Russia. It's very much better having to do with North Korea, where we currently have a problem that should have never been my problem. This should have been a problem solved many years ago when it was much less dangerous, but it was given to me along with a big mess of other things. But I will say this: I am for massive oil and gas and everything else and a lot of energy. Putin can't love that. I am for the strongest military that the United States ever had. Putin can't love that. But Hillary was not for a strong military, and Hillary, my opponent, was for windmills, and she was for other types of energy that don't have the same capacities at this moment, certainly. So I just want to say that it's a lot better to work with other countries. We're working with China or North Korea. We're working with various other countries, and I think we're doing very well. We had a great talk, as you know, and as you reported. We had a great talk this morning with President Moon, and I think that a lot of good things are happening. We're going to see what happens. But working with other countries, whether it's Russia or China or India or any of the countries that surround this world and encompass this world, that's a good thing, John. That's not a bad thing. That's a very good thing. Okay? Okay, go ahead.
From Aftenposten.
Mr. President, Prime Minister, Norway strongly supports the Paris Agreement and have expressed regret that you have decided to leave it. What could persuade you to remain, and what kind of common ground did you find in your talks today on this topic?
Well, it wasn't a major topic, I must tell you. We talked about other things, including mostly trade. But I will say that the Paris Agreement as drawn and as we signed was very unfair to the United States. It put great penalties on us. It made it very difficult for us to deal in terms of business. It took away a lot of our asset values. We are a country rich in gas and coal and oil and lots of other things, and there was a tremendous penalty for using it. It hurt our businesses. According to some estimates, we would have had to close businesses in order to qualify by 2025, whereas, as an example, China, by 2030, they don't kick in until 2030. Russia, someplace in the mid-1990s, that was their standard, and that was never a good standard because that was a dirty standard for the environment. It treated the United States very unfairly, and frankly, it's an agreement that I have no problem with, but I had a problem with the agreement that they signed because, as usual, they made a bad deal. So we could conceivably go back in, but I say this, we are very strong on the environment. I feel very strongly about the environment. Our EPA and our EPA commissioners are very, very powerful in the sense that they want to have clean water, clean air, but we also want businesses that can compete. And the Paris Accord really would have taken away our competitive edge. And we're not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let it happen.
And if I just might add that there are business opportunities in this, as we talked about during this, because we have strict regulations on to reach our Paris targets. That means that we have very strong policies for environmental friendly and climate friendly technologies, and which is a small part of why the United States now have a surplus in the economy towards Norway. So you never miss up on a good opportunity with good environmental standards.
One of the great assets of Norway is a thing called water, and they have tremendous hydropower. Tremendous. In fact, most of your energy or your electricity is produced by hydro. I wish we'd do some of that, but hydropower is fantastic, and it's a great asset that you have. Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you.
Mr. President, isn't the special counsel still determining whether there was collusion?
Thank you very much.
That was President Trump's news conference with the Prime Minister of Norway, Erna Solberg. And this is the post-show for President Trump's news conference. We want to hear, what did you think about the news conference? President Trump touched on a number of topics. He talked about the special prosecutor Mueller. He talked about the Paris Agreement. He talked about relations with Russia, talked about North Korea a little bit, talked about immigration. So what did you think about all of that? We want to hear what you thought. Write to me on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. Let me know. We're going to read your comments on the air. This is the post show for the broadcast. Also, I want to say a quick thank you. We got some donations during the we got some donations. Oh, and the black screens are happening again. We got some donations during the broadcast. We got some donations. Crash Hard and some other folks, Lars Anderson, and I missed some of the others, but thank you for donating. If you want to support Right Side Broadcasting, we are viewer supported. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. You can click on the dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, and that's how to donate, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. We bring you all of President Trump's events and other news besides. We did a whole stream on the mudslides last night, the terrible mudslides in California. So we like bringing you an alternate alternative to the mainstream media. Also, real quick, we apologize for the black screens that have been popping up. That is not our fault. That is YouTube's fault. They have been telling us for months they were going to fix it, and they haven't fixed it yet. If you want to help us with that issue, the best thing you can do, tweet out to YouTube, ask them why they haven't fixed this yet, tell them you want it fixed. You can tweet to @YouTube and @TeamYouTube. Tweet to them both. Send them a screenshot of the black screen if you'd like. But it really is, we just feel bad because you guys want to watch our broadcast and YouTube won't let you do it. And believe me, we've been writing to them about this. We've been writing to them about this issue since last July or August. Look, it's happening again. See, there you go. There's the black screens right there. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, look at this. Look at how long that black screen is up there for. It's now up there for how long? I mean, we just saw a black screen for like, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. So that's just YouTube. At a certain point, if they don't fix it after 8 months, you got to think something's up, because it's like, why wouldn't they be able to fix it by now? It seems like something that would be easily fixable. So anyways, but we're going to keep doing the post show anyway in spite of YouTube, but please feel free to tweet them at YouTube, @TeamYouTube. Send them a screenshot, let them know what you think about them constantly doing this to us. It's really just ridiculous that that big company with all those smart people working there can't figure out how to fix this one issue. That never happens to other channels. Google it. You won't find any other channels talking about it because it doesn't happen to them. Okay, but we want to hear what you thought about the press conference. So give me a shout, @Lookner on Twitter, @Lookner. Let's see here. Thank you, Andy T. Andy T also sent a message out already to YouTube about this. So thank you, Andy T, for sending a video about this. See, this is what you can do if you want to help us out. This is what Andy T did. Andy T sent YouTube a video, and it says, look, please fix the constant black screens. Thank you, Andy T. So we encourage you to, if you're as angry as we are, we encourage you to do what Andy T did. Thank you, Andy T. Reagan Betters writes in, the Prime Minister of Norway mentioned the Paris Climate Agreement, something President Trump 100% disagrees with. Well, it was asked about as a question. She didn't just bring it up. It was asked about as a question. The question was originally to President Trump saying, I think the question was something like, what would make you re-enter the Paris Agreement? And what could persuade you to remain in the Paris Agreement? It was a Norwegian journalist who asked the question. She said, here in Norway, we're upset you guys are leaving the Paris Agreement. So President Trump basically said, well, in theory, I could go back into it, but I don't think the Paris Agreement, he thought it really hurt American businesses. So it sounded like the general tone of his answer was it would have to be an agreement that was much more friendly to American business. That was his answer to that question. Thanks for writing in. We are taking your comments on the air about what you thought about the press conference. Write to me on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. Old Guy 1947 says, can RSBN contact the FCC to look into this black screen problem? I'm sure we could contact them, but honestly, what do you think the chances are of a channel contact, really and spending a lot of time looking into this? I can't imagine that would, in the FCC, a YouTube channel, and them, it's the FCC. I'm sure they get tons of contacts, and if they get a message from from one YouTube channel that they haven't heard of about YouTube, I'm sure they wouldn't be rushing to take care of it. But it's interesting. Maybe we should look into it. But it is absolutely ridiculous. It's just amazing. It's amazing. Again, it's been going for like 8 months. It's just amazing, unbelievable. Andrew Sova says, it doesn't seem like the black screens are a mistake. There is someone doing it purposely on their side. Well, Andrew, given that it's been going on for 8 months and they haven't fixed it, and it never happens with another channel, the logical thing to start thinking is that it's purposeful. I mean, I don't know what else it could be if they can't fix it, JC writes in, our moderator, Steve, it's time to change the name from YouTube to SueTube. This is ridiculous and beyond unprofessional. Remember, karma is real and she is a bitch, YouTube. Back off. Thank you, JC. I agree with you. Oh, Lady Maga is saying she did bring it up in her initial remarks before the question. You're saying that she brought it up in her remarks. Hold on, I want to check this out. Maybe I can check it out. And it's possible I missed that. I was dealing with some stuff here during her remarks, dealing with some stuff that we had to deal with here during her remarks in the studio. So I was just talking about before the question, but I didn't catch all of her initial remarks. So let me see. Maybe I can find it for you. Hang on. Okay. I'll go back here. We can actually look and see. Okay, I see the broadcast. I see him talking. There's her talking. Let's see if we can find this, folks.
And F-35 fighter jets. We have a total mutually beneficial countries.
500,000 jobs in the United States.
She's
and through
talking.
our government pension funds, substantial revenues from our oil sector. One of the big areas we are now importing in Norway is electrical cars from Tesla. And Norway is combating climate change. It's an important issue for us. And we are committed to the Paris Agreement.
Okay.
But it leads to businesses, and it leads to American businesses also selling cars in Norway. At the same time, the green economy is an area where we...
She did bring it up one time. I don't know if she mentioned it any other times in her remarks. So thank you for saying that. Now, what she didn't, though, bring it up and say, like, hey, you know, she didn't make a big... If that's all she did, she certainly didn't make a big deal out of it. And also, she didn't sort of bring it up as a point saying, like, you know, we're doing this. We wish America could do it too, you know, hint, hint. So I don't know if she brought it up any otherwise during her opening, but there's that little mention there. Thanks, Lady Maga, for writing in. Appreciate it. Joseph Riley, this is off topic. Joseph Riley says, are reports of Julian Assange being granted an Ecuadorian passport valid? Yes, that has happened. I saw reports of that earlier. But we're not going to get hung up on that, Joseph, because we try to stay on topic here at Right Side Broadcasting. So we're going to stick to the press conference. Thank you, John Miller and Linda Belk, for writing messages to YouTube and telling them to fix this black screen issue. We very much appreciate it. I mean, it's so nice of you guys to do this. Look, I'll show you the messages. See? Ooh, hang on a second. It was here. So we got one from Linda Belk saying the 20-second black screen, among other shorter ones, that interrupted a very important telecast of President Trump's news conference. Very annoying and totally unacceptable. Thank you, Linda. And John Miller says, Team YouTube, can you address this repeated issue with RSBN at Lookner? Thank you, John. Yes, that really helps when you yell at them like that on Twitter and just let them know that you as viewers... Well, I don't know if it'll... Oh, and there was another black screen again. But you're just angry about this like we are. Patriot writes in, are we sure the Norwegian Prime Minister isn't Angela Merkel's lost sister? They look and sound so similar. Oh, it's another black screen. Look. It's another black screen. It's another black screen. It's amazing. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't see it, if you want to talk about YouTube's amazing customer service that they have, this is the amazing, fantastic customer service has. It's not like their customer service is bad because they're a monopoly, so they don't have to give good customer service. They give fantastic, good customer service anyway. Want to see an example of how amazing their customer service is? Oh, I'm going to show you. Hold on a second. I'll show you how great the YouTube customer service is. How they care. We've made them thousands of dollars, probably more than that, and they give us fantastic customer service. Let me show you how great it is. Let's see, I'll show you exactly what it is. I have a message here from yesterday. So this is the message that we got from them yesterday. Look, we wrote them back in December about black screen problems. And literally yesterday, so 5-6 weeks after we messaged them, they wrote us back, finally. And look at what they say. They say, good day, hope you're doing well. Yeah, we're doing great. You're messing up our whole channel. We're doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. Our internal team would like to know the following information. Look at number 2. Are the 2 streams from December 1st and December 2nd the only ones where this happens? Or does the issue still occur? They asked us this yesterday. We and you have been tweeting them for the last week and more that this issue has been going on. Look at our Twitter feed and look at, you guys have sent out tweets. And yet they send us a message yesterday saying, are the streams from December 1st and December 2nd the only ones where this happens? They're basically not reading our messages when they send them. They just don't care. They're responding to us 6 weeks later, and it's, how does that make any sense that they ask us, are the ones from December 1st and 2nd the only ones where these are happening? When we have sent them, and you guys have sent them so many messages just in the last few days about all of the black screens that have been happening. So this is the amazing, fantastic customer service that YouTube provides, money-making creators like us, and people who make them money by watching them like you. That's the great service they provide us, so thank you. And I am sure that if NBC or MSNBC or the Young Turks had a problem with their feed like this, where they were getting black screens, they would also take 6 weeks to reply and send messages as unhelpful as this. I'm sure that would happen. I'm sure of it. Thank you, by the way, to Mr. Nicktown. Mr. Nicktown made a donation of $50. Thank you. And he said, thank you for the stream, Stephen RSBN. We don't need their stinking ad revenue. MAGA times 10. Thank you, Mr. Nicktown. Just amazing. Let's see here. Lady Maga says, yes, the only time she brought up the Paris Accord before the question was that time, the quick time we showed you. Thank you, Lady Maga, for writing in and letting me know. I missed that part where she brought it up in her initial remarks. Lady of the Kingdom writes in, Steve, great entrance. The President and the Norway Prime Minister did a great job today. She is wonderful. He is brilliant. Norway's journalists seemed more kind, and as the roundtable explained yesterday, can't have, as the roundtable explained yesterday, can't have proper secure immigration without the wall. Thank you. Thanks, Lady of the Kingdom. President Trump did say, the first question from Sarah Westwood was, President Trump, could you approve an immigration bill without the wall? And he said no. He said categorically no. We need the wall for security. We need the wall to prevent drugs from coming in the country. So President Trump was very clear today. He said, I am not signing any immigration bill. I would think that includes any kind of DACA fix that doesn't have the wall in it. So that's what President Trump said. Now, to what degree does it have to have the wall in it? Does it have to have the whole wall, part of the wall, improvements to existing wall stuff? Don't know, but he did say that today. Bruce Rosenthal writes in, good press conference, with the only disappointment being that the Prime Minister didn't finally settle if the Swede from Hell on Wheels was not actually Norwegian after all. I don't even understand that. Is that a reference I'm not getting? Let's see. Let's see if I can Google it. Oh, Christopher Heyerdahl plays the Swede on AMC's Hell on Wheels. Anyways, I don't watch Hell on Wheels, so I can't intelligently comment on your comment. But thanks for writing in. I want to show you, there was this kind of odd question that I want to show you from the Norwegian journalist about hearing about some American general that predicted a war or something. Like I said, a war was coming. So let me show you that question. Here it is. It was just kind of odd. President Trump didn't really seem to understand it. Oh, I'd show it to you, but there's like black screens over it. Hang on, I'll find it here. Okay, I think I'm almost there. Almost there. Here we go. All right, here's the question from that Norwegian journalist.
American general
thing. Here we go.
Robert Neller told his Marines based in Norway, there's a war coming.
Oops.
A big ass fight. Mr. President, how imminent is that big war? And
hang on. Let me just get you the whole... I missed the first part of the question. All right, here we go. I'll play the question for you here.
Well, we need the wall for security. We need the wall for safety. We need the wall for stopping the drugs from pouring in. I would imagine.
Coming up, question.
In
Weird
Israel, they
question
put up the
coming
wall.
up.
They say, oh, they solved a very major problem. We need the wall. We have to have the wall for security purposes. Security is number one. And so the answer is have to have the wall. Thank you. And please.
Here's the question right here.
Can I call on Anders Magnus from the Norwegian Broadcasting?
Mr. President, Prime Minister, recently an American General, Robert Neller, told his Marines based in Norway, there's a war coming, a big-ass fight. Mr. President, how imminent is that big war, and where will it take place?
When you say the big war, you're saying what? Say it.
It was an American general, Robert Neller. He visited the Norwegian, the American Marines based in Norway, and he said there's a war coming, a big-ass fight. When will that war come?
Well, maybe he knows something that I don't know, okay? I would say this. I would say this. We have a...
So President Trump said he thought he didn't think a war was on the horizon. But it was kind of an interesting question. It was, and like President Trump, it didn't seem like he even knew what the guy was talking about. He said some general had come to Norway and said a war was coming, a big ass war. So it was just interesting to see that question asked because President Trump didn't seem to know about it. And I hadn't heard about this comment. Now, maybe it was made, but I hadn't heard about it. So I thought that was an interesting moment. Hey, we just got a donation from Richard Ahrens. He gave a donation and said, change channel name from right side to left side and black screen will go away. F YouTube in the A. Richard, I don't necessarily disagree with you that if we didn't have our name and we weren't we weren't associated with what we are, that there wouldn't be any black screens. I actually think there very well wouldn't be any, like you say, because we don't see them anywhere else, only on our channel. Strange, only on our channel that this happens. Andy T sent out another message about this with a video. Thank you, Andy T. We'll have right side retweet that after the broadcast, Andy T. Thank you. Linda Belk said, they used a black screen when you were reading my tweet about black screens. That's what they do. Patriot says, maybe YouTube should, similar to Twitch, possibly add a pop-up list with all the viewers' names, mods, admin section, would clear your black screens up if it's being tinkered with, assuming they need an admin YouTube to access these sort of functions. I'm not entirely understanding your proposal, Patriot, but I would have thought they could have fixed this by now. I mean, it's been 8 months. Bruce Rosenthal sent me a clip about the Hell on Wheels reference, but I can't show it because it's a YouTube clip. So I can't show the YouTube clip on another YouTube broadcast. I'll try to check it out later, though, Bruce. Thank you. Trumping the Globe says, Steve, the problem with these meetings and the media is they can never stay on topics at hand. So Trumping the Globe, it sounds like maybe you wanted the questions to be all about, say, foreign policy issues since the Prime Minister of Norway was there, but there was like a question on DACA and a question on, well, there was definitely a question on DACA. So, and a question on the Mueller investigation. So I think it was John Harwood who asked President Trump, was it John Harwood, who asked President Trump if he would meet and to be interviewed by Robert Mueller or his investigators, and would he be interviewed, and would he be interviewed with no conditions? And President Trump, on the interview, and President Trump said, well, there's no collusion, and given that there's no collusion, I'm not even sure they would need an interview. So that was President Trump's way of answering that question. Elizabeth Burwell says, YouTube is at it again with all the black screens. So sick of their antics. Is there any agency or consumer advocates we can complain to? So, we'll look into it, Elizabeth. Another viewer suggested the FCC. It is just absolutely ridiculous. But then YouTube will just say, oh, no, it's not intentional. It's some technological problem we're trying to figure out. Bruce Rosenthal says, I don't think that general is going to be a real happy camper after this press conference. So are you saying, Bruce, that maybe the general said this, but said it in private, and then this reporter is the one who... The Norwegian reporter said that there was an American general in Norway who said there's going to be a war soon. So you think maybe this wasn't widely known, and then the reporter just outed him for saying that? Oh, okay. H. Rutherford Hill, I love it. One of our viewers, H. Rutherford Hill, sent us an article, I think, with the quote in it. Let's look. Let's see. It says, top general tells Marines to be prepared for a big fight. Here we go. The Marine Corps commandant told about 300 Marines in Norway this week that they should be prepared for a big ass fight to come. Okay. Remarks his spokesman later said were not in reference to any specific adversary, but rather intended to inspire the troops. I hope I'm wrong, but there's a war coming, Robert Neller told the Marines on Thursday. You're in a fight here, an informational fight, a political fight by your presence. He said that. Let's see. Neller and other Corps leaders told the force they should be prepared for a change in the peacetime mission should the need arise. It was at first unclear to what extent his comments were indicative of an actual war to come, or merely meant as a pep talk for troops stationed far from home over the Christmas holiday. Lieutenant Colonel Eric Dent, a spokesman for the general, told the Washington Post Saturday night that Neller's remarks were intended to inspire and focus the Marines' training. He added the general had also told the troops none of the 4 countries he had referenced wanted to go to war. And then the spokesman for the general said, the thought of a war has a way of motivating warriors to train hard and increase readiness. I cannot imagine any professional military leader suggesting to his or her soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen that we shouldn't think that a conflict is pending. Being ready is a constant practice in refocusing. If you want peace, train for war. That's exactly what we want and what we are doing. So, anyways... So this general made this comment. Thank you very much, H. Rutherford Hill. This is from December 23rd, this article. Thanks for the research. And so he made a comment. He said, I hope I'm wrong, but there's a war coming. And there's a question of like what he was actually talking about there. He claims that he was just trying to motivate the troops and wasn't actually talking about any specific intelligence he had. But people could debate this. Yeah, I love it, though. Thank you, H. Rutherford Hill, for sending in that article, though. I hadn't seen that when it came out. But it was said. Unseen One sent in an article too from Business Insider about it. Thank you. Patriot writes in, the general may have been recreating the saying our troops in South Korea use, ready to fight tonight. Thank you. Bruce Rosenthal also sent in an article about the general saying that comment. Appreciate it, guys. Love it. You help us cover the news here. Thank you. Thank you, Zachary Mackinick, for sending your message to YouTube about our black screens. We appreciate it. JC, our moderator, writes, Steve, it's about time we have a president that loves our country and wants the military to succeed. Wars are not games anymore. No more profit by war. War is war, and you don't want to mess with the U.S. Thank you, JC, and thank you for your service. JC served our country in the military. Okay. Let's see if there's anything big else that he mentioned. We talked about President Trump talking about saying no immigration deal without a wall in the press conference. We talked about him saying, there's no collusion, and not specifically saying whether he'd allow himself to be interviewed by Robert Mueller with or without conditions. We talked about him saying, talking about the Paris Accord. So, let me shut off my phone here. So I think we covered all the big points, the major points that came out during the press briefing. But we'll be on for a couple more minutes. Last call for comments. If you have any comments about the press conference, give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Thanks so much to all of our moderators who've been moderating today. JC, Real Frank, Barbara Braley, Very much appreciated. And also Common Sense and Gleno on the website. And thanks to everybody who's donated today during the broadcast. Those really are what allows us to stay on the air, to be an alternative to the mainstream media. So if you like our coverage and you want to see it continue, please consider donating. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. Click on the dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat. Or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell so you get notified when they actually do notify you of our broadcasts and our live broadcasts. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Right Side Broadcasting, on Twitter at RSB Network. I am on Twitter at @Lookner. I post about breaking news all the time. So if you want more breaking news coverage, follow me at @Lookner on Twitter. And thanks to our Right Side CEO, Joe Seals, for producing today, doing his normal great job of producing in spite YouTube trying to sabotage the broadcast. And Joe, you can follow at Joe Seals, at Joe Seales on Twitter. All right, I think, let me see here. Deplorable Gina says, will you be letting your viewers know about the latest James O'Keefe video? People need to see this about Twitter. Sorry, this isn't about the press conference. I'll mention it if people want to watch it. So James O'Keefe of Project Veritas posted this video. If you want to watch it, you can go to his Twitter account at James O'Keefe III, at James O'Keefe III. And it says, so at Jack from Twitter, do you have any response to this video of your engineer admitting that Twitter will offer all of President Trump's tweets and private DMs, even the ones he's deleted, to the Justice Department? So if you want to watch this video, go to James O'Keefe III on Twitter, and you can see that there. Thanks, Deplorable Gina, for writing in. Okay, I think we got to your messages. I think we're going to wrap this stream. If there's breaking news later today, we will come back on the air, of course, so keep an eye out for us at Right Side Broadcasting. But for now, we are going to wrap up the stream. Are you handy? And it said he or she contacted YouTube too. Thank you for contacting YouTube, everybody. We appreciate it. And thank you for saying thanks in the chat room. Stinky Stan said thanks. Pete says it won't let you donate in the chat room. It should let you donate, Pete. If it doesn't let you donate in the YouTube chat, you can always go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Okay, I am just going to say goodbye to some of the people in the chat room, because people always say thanks. Thank you, Mordina. Thank you, Yvonne Salon. Thank you, DM, for sending a screenshot to YouTube. Thank you, YouTube 13. Thank you, Mr. Speaker 1. Thank you, The American. Thanks, moderators, again. Swoosh, thank you. Thank you, Larissa's Lighthouse. Mr. Nicktown made another donation. Thank you, Mr. Nicktown. Very nice of you. Mr. Nicktown says, tell Pete to update his browser. I had the same problem. So maybe if you have an old browser version, you can't donate. If you can't donate on YouTube, try to update your browser. That's what Mr. Nicktown says. Thank you. Thank you, Orpheus, Marion N. Tutaju 79 says, thank you from Finland. I've been watching this channel since the beginning. Great stuff. Thank you, Tutaju. Thanks, one of We the People, Chris Donahue. Swoosh says, I'll send my fist to YouTube. Nice, thank you. Roland says, Roland Vlonderen says, thank you from the Netherlands. Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Crash Hard. Thank you, Reed Belag. Ron Stahlcup made a donation and said, donate button is working for me. Thank you, Ron. That's very nice. Thank you. Albert, thank you. And all right, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks, guys, everybody, for watching today, watching our coverage. And we will be back later if there's breaking news later today. But for now, I am Steve Lookner. For myself, thank you again to Joe Seals for producing. Great job, Joe. Thank you to all of our moderators out there, too, and all of you for watching. But for myself, for Joe, and everybody else here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you very soon.